The strategies to learn AWS in 2022 are not going to be the same as they were in 2021 or in other years, and that's because AWS keeps launching new services every single year, and so it's going to be even harder to learn all of the services if your strategy is just to try to learn as many as possible. So when you stick around to this video, I'm going to show you a more precise strategy that can ultimately help you be able to land a job where you're going to be able to demonstrate expertise in an area that uses AWS. So stick around and I will show you what that number one strategy is. So this comes from my own personal experience about me. I have been a solutions architect at AWS now for 5 years. And the way that I learned AWS was by learning almost as much as I could about all the different services, reading through documentation, through white papers, watching videos, doing labs, learning it all on my own and with the help of some mentors. And that is actually not the strategy that I would use now. It may be if you were someone who was learning AWS back when it was in the earlier days and there were fewer services, you could be someone who could have actually learned all of those services and could have been a master at them. But now with over 175 plus AWS services, it is basically impossible to be a master of all of them. And this is, I can say for myself as someone who's been doing it, I certainly, even 5 years later, be my full-time job, I am definitely not a master. And note, this is just my own personal opinion. This is definitely not a like AWS sponsored opinion. I'm just sharing with you my own personal opinions of how I would be learning today if I were giving you advice so you could be able to land a lucrative job. So what should you do if you're someone that wants to be able to land a lucrative job, being able to utilize AWS? I would actually specialize. And what I mean by that is picking an area of the technical stack where you want to be an expert in that area. So some things that come to mind that I would recommend based on my experience of working with companies and seeing what are some major areas in which they are looking for someone with expertise to actually own a particular part of their application. Analytics comes to mind, DevOps, being able to help with machine learning, whether it's knowing the machine learning and actually building out the actual machine learning stack to be able to, that machine learning ops, that pipeline of being able to get models into production and being able to do multiple models, multiple iterations, being able to know robotics, that could be one. And I say robotics because even though there's fewer companies, whereas analytics is something that basically every company needs, there are plenty of robotics businesses out there, and it's only going to continue to grow. And these companies are very lucrative. So you may as well learn a very niche skill that is going to be able to put you into a position where you can be on the cutting edge of a technology that's only going to become more and more pervasive in our lives. Another one I would say is IoT. So let me repeat all the ones that I just said. If I were in your position and I had to learn AWS, I would not try to learn everything. I would just focus on these categories: analytics, DevOps, machine learning, robotics, and IoT. So those five, again, are from just my experience of working with businesses, understanding that these are common parts of their business in which they are looking to continue to have someone who is an expert in them be able to build out more complex workflows, be able to just provide value to the business. So if you focus on one of those areas and become an expert in, this is going to set you up as being not only an expert in that domain category, which can be applied to other different businesses, but also really being someone that really knows how to implement it because you have learned how to actually implement it using AWS's solutions to those common patterns. So where to get started if I were in your position, recommending to you. So if you go into like AWS's website and you actually search under like the products, those categories that I just listed out are actually there already listed. So you can go there and you can start to see what are some AWS services that then fall under those categories, and you can start to then learn those. That's where you then go through the white papers, you go and actually build something out yourself that demonstrate those architecture patterns. Go through labs. There are plenty of AWS labs, and these you can just do some research on. I can drop some links as well here to be able to actually start learning some of those different types of technologies and how the actual AWS services come together to solve those types of problems. The AWS architecture blog is also a fantastic place to be able to look at different architecture patterns for some of these types of domains. And I would also, for these domains themselves, they also a lot of times will have a blog that's associated with it. So you can start to read those and see some other best practices, learn more about the different nuances of those services to solve a certain problem. And you can start then really becoming an expert. More and more companies are looking for expertise, and because it's so hard to really be a generalist. So the more you can actually specialize earlier on and focus on learning a certain set of services, solutions to be able to solve those problems, it's going to open up the doors for you to be able to be that expert that can come in to one company, to another company, and grow your career as that expert in that particular area. If you have any questions on this, please leave a comment, and I will just answer them, and I will use the comments that you leave as just inspiration for other topics, for other videos as well.